are many things that the former royal known as the Duchess of Sussex, Meghan Markle, brought to the British monarchy. Of course, some might say it was the glitz of being a cable TV actress. Others might say it's her charitable work. While some also might speculate, is it really this that Meghan brought to the monarchy for the very first time? An investigation into what? Hi, good morning, Neil Sean here in the heart of London. Thanks for joining me today. Nice to have your company as ever. I do love it when you get involved with the previous video reports because obviously it lets me know that you totally agree or disagree with some of the stories that are coming out of London and of course across the United Kingdom. It's so important that we throw a light on these stories. As I've told you before, a lot of the mainstream media seem to just pass by these big things, I think, and I think also what's important is the fact we have a voice, you know. People know exactly what's going on with all the breaking news, as I say, that matters to you. This story is one of the biggest, let me tell you. This all centres on, of course, Meghan Markle's entree into the British monarchy. It all started oh so well. Whatever people say, she was welcomed into the monarchy, particularly by Her Majesty the Queen, who really went out of her way to assist and make sure that mistakes were not made with this particular new entry into the British monarchy. You know, if you think about it, long before they were even married, she got invited to Christmas. She was then on the royal train, invited onto the balcony, really sort of let know that this is exactly what you're entering into. Meghan, of course, then went to trash the family on international television and basically said nobody showed her the words to the national anthem or indeed how to be a royal. But it was the bigger picture that caught a lot of people's eye, and it was this: the bullying claims, because they surfaced very quickly after Meghan had joined, with staff leaving for no apparent reason. And allegedly, as ever, we have to say that those initial reports, particularly by the Times newspaper, have yet to see any litigation towards them. And then, of course, Buckingham Palace were swept up into this controversy about the bullying claims. So our gracious Majesty the Queen, as ever, decided to launch an investigation. And as she famously said, recollections may vary, but it's one of the sticking points that Meghan and her team particularly would like resolved, and apparently this was brought up in that ever so brief meeting. That's right. Now, what's interesting here is the Queen's private secretary, Sir Edward Young, is the person leading this investigation, and it is claimed that only 4 of the previous people who worked for Meghan have been interviewed. Well, there's a reason for that. The others don't want to come forward. Apparently it was such a harrowing experience that they simply do not want to be reminded of that time. As you know, it's also keen to remember that Meghan, with her then assistant Jason North, who she claimed she didn't assist with that book with, suddenly remembered, if you recall. And that was particularly embarrassing for the royals because once again somebody had to remind her that she did indeed send messages and texts. In fact, both her and Prince Harry did, to those alleged authors. All rather confusing. So where are we at with the bullying claims now? Well, according to a very good source out at Windsor, I put a call into them, and as ever, they're always sort of breathing, not this again, you know. But the bottom line is this, and I've stated this many times before: it doesn't really matter how many times the people working for Miss Markle and the former prince want to highlight this particular topic. It is a private matter within palace circles, and the investigations will not be revealed in public. Now, some might say this would really cement where the true stories came from, good or bad, but it's simply not how the palace works. So of course it leads to a lot of speculation, and it's very difficult for Sir Edward Young because he's the man in the middle. I actually feel a little bit sorry for him in this. But as far as the bullying claims are concerned, that's simply now all being dealt with, all move forward, and more importantly, as Meghan and Harry are now not any working members of the British monarchy, then of course they're not included in the findings. Of course they can request, but it's now up to our gracious Majesty the Queen to decide which elements she wishes to impart, if any at all. Once again, this will not go down well with the former royals known as the Duke and Duchess of Sussex. Seemingly though, this would be a legacy that Meghan has left behind, the very first time that the monarchy have had to start an investigation into bullying. As ever, when I know more, you'll know more. Neil Sean in the very heart of London.